Good afternoon. My name is Scott Kurkoski. I represent the Joint Landowner Coalition of New York. The JLC represents the common interests of 39 independent landowner coalitions throughout the state, whose members own over 1 million acres of unleased land over the Marcellus Shale and other natural gas deposits. This isn't in my written report, but I also represent Jennifer Huntington. Jennifer Huntington is the dairy farmer who has commenced the action against the town of Middlefield. This issue over whether a town can ban drilling or not affects all of us. It's not just local rights. They're talking about state rights as well. We're talking about the state, our legislators being able to decide what our energy policy is within the state itself. And by the way, the Farm Bureau is also with us in that case. They believe, just as we do, that those decisions should not be made at the local level, that those decisions should be made by the experts and the career professionals at the DEC. In addition, over 40 towns in the southern tier have signed a resolution which all say that they believe that they should not be passing moratoriums against gas in their towns, and that those decisions, again, should be made at the state level. They believe that because they understand that if we're allowed to have gas drilling decided on by a 3-2 town board vote, that we're not going to be able to move forward in this state. We're not going to be able to have an effective energy policy as we move forward. And in fact, this morning, Tim Weitzel, president of the Association of Towns, addressed you. Tim Weitzel is the supervisor of the town of Binghamton. His town voted on one of those positive resolutions, and Tim was also one of those people that voted for that positive resolution. This morning I submitted the JLC's written comments to the DEC's high-volume hydraulic fracturing proposed regulations. We are hopeful that after 4 years the DEC will complete its regulations and the SGAS so that permits for drilling in New York in their shale resources can begin. Now, and we've heard this many times today, natural gas is not a perfect fuel, nor is its development risk-free. But natural gas must be viewed in context with all of our other energy choices, just as Mr. Furman was just talking about. Japan experienced a devastating nuclear accident in its Fukushima nuclear power plant. The Japanese government announced that it will make its country nuclear-free by the 2030s. We know that someday we will need to replace the power generated by the Indian Point nuclear power plant. What's the plan to do that? I doubt very seriously that the plan will be to replace that with another nuclear power plant. Suddenly, I'm hearing many people singing the praises of coal. Why is that? In my view, there are people who are simply do not want to see change in their communities. For many, the known devil is better than the unknown angel. According to the Clean Air Task Force in its 2010 study, pollution from coal-fired power plant emissions caused an estimated 13,500 premature deaths nationwide and roughly 945 in New York in 2010. The total cost of health problems related to coal plants is more than $1 billion a year in the United States. And what true environmentalist would ever argue for the continued destruction of our country's mountaintops to support coal mining? Renewable energies, they are coming. They're coming along, they're getting better all the time, but they are still not ready to support our energy needs. For now, they require massive government subsidies to survive, and renewables cause vast surface disruption. Entire mountain ranges are rendered useless by wind farms. Now, there was a time when I'd be driving up to the Adirondacks with my children, and we would think it'd be kind of neat. Except now that we're seeing more and more wind farms and more surface disruption and the inability to use those giant mountain ranges within New York because of wind farms, we understand what this is about. What we don't understand is what will the consequences be in 50 years when the companies that put those wind farms up today are no longer here anymore. Have you been to the St. Lawrence River and seen the wind farm on Wolf Island in Lake Ontario? Do you know how many more of those wind farms will be needed to support our energy needs? But natural gas is a temporary disruption, and what is left, according to the DEC, is a production pad of 1.5 acres for a multi-well pad. Now, the New York Public Service Commission recently came out with an order instituting proceeding and establishing further procedures. That was issued November 30, 2012. And in there they made some very important observations. I think we heard this morning that we're only hearing from the governor and the DEC in their view, but the Public Service Commission is now weighing in on these issues. And here are some quotes from that order. Natural gas is cleaner than other fossil fuels used for home heating. Under current price conditions, the typical homeowner who converts from number 2 oil to natural gas could save about $1,300 per year. Use of natural gas that displaces oil or coal consumption will result in lower overall emissions. That's climate control. We have to address climate control. And our Public Service Commission is telling us that the conversion from coal to natural gas will reduce our emissions. Expanding the availability of natural gas also is likely to have important implications for economic development and the job market within New York. There were questions this morning about whether there have been independent studies upon economic issues. Well, now we at least know that the Public Service Commission believes that there will be economic development and jobs from natural gas. I'll tell you, we have in Windsor, New York, and Broome County, we have the Dunbar compressor station that services the laser pipeline. Let's see if this has ever happened to you. In Windsor, the Windsor school taxes have gone down this year by 5%, even though their school budget has gone up. That's never happened in my school district. But it happened there because the Dunbar compressor station has a $26 million assessed value. Now, we're not even open for business in New York. We're talking about bringing gas from Pennsylvania into New York. One small example of how we're going to have tax reduction from the process of natural gas. We know that there is a gas on production at the local level. That process will be continued and repeated over and over again as we see development. Furthermore, let's throw out the studies. Let's talk a little bit about what's going on in Binghamton, New York. We have this unique perspective because we are right on the border. We see what's going on in Pennsylvania. We see what's going on in our state. Many times people that I represent can hit gas wells with a rock from their property in New York, but they're going on in Pennsylvania. So this is what's really happening in the southern tier. Our airports are busier than they ever have been. That's true in Elmira, Corning. That's true in Binghamton. Our hotels are busier, but they're busy because we see a lot of white pickup trucks outside, and there's a lot of activity that's going on there. Talked to the hotel owner of the Binghamton Holiday Inn, and he's someone who talking about these benefits on a constant basis. Friends of mine, I've got one friend that lives down the street from me in the town of Maine who has a tree service. He is busier than ever, and he's employed 10 people from Binghamton who are going down with him into Pennsylvania because they have got a tremendous amount of work there in Pennsylvania. My secretary, her husband's a former, or actually a current Assembly of God minister, out of work. He was working for a window company, but he received an offer to go to Ohio to work for a seismic testing company. They offered him a full year's salary in advance to go to Ohio. He's not working. It's an offer he can't refuse. Those stories are being repeated over and over again, but they're not stories about people working in Binghamton or working in Broome County or other parts of the southern tier. There are stories about people leaving New York to go to find jobs elsewhere. We're seeing, for instance, estate planning that my firm is doing with people that are experiencing gas wells in Pennsylvania. I had a woman sitting in front of me with her husband, and this couple never had anything their entire life. But they were about to receive within the next year $1 million. The very first thing that they said is that we want to give 10% to our local church and 10% to our local charity. Amazing. Now, that story is being repeated over and over again in Pennsylvania. Talk to the foundations there. They'll tell you that that's what's going on. They're getting a new hospital right now in Susquehanna County because of the benefits of natural gas and the things that are coming in through them. But New York's a very different picture. We're seeing record unemployment. We've got EIT now that just had layoffs in our area. Lockheed Martin has had layoffs. We lost Sikorsky in Elmira and Horseheads area. We continue to get this news in the southern tier over and over again as we continue to just bleed jobs. And we've missed opportunities along the way. I hear people say all the time, well, the gas has been there for 1 million years or 1 billion years. What difference does it make if we wait a little bit longer? What difference it makes is that we have been, in my lifetime, the worst recession that we've ever seen. And we have this tremendous opportunity that we have not been able to capitalize on. And people in our community need to have it. They are losing their farms. They're losing their land. They can't pay their taxes. Property values have gone up, by the way, because we have this potential resource, and everyone else in the country understands that these properties will have great value. So if a town is reassessed, those taxes go up, and yet those property owners can't afford to pay them anymore because we can't move forward and they can't market the minerals that they have under their feet. We've had business opportunities that we've blown. We've got a $25 million capital project in Tioga County, New York, where an oil and gas company was going to set up their operations. Instead, they set it up 5 miles over the Pennsylvania border. And that's simply because of the atmosphere here in the state of New York. To us, those things, those stories are unconscionable, given what we have been going through with the recession since 2008. I often hear those opposed to gas, however, say that, well, this is just about money. And that's what I'm talking about now, right? It's just about money. It's just about greed. And the oil and gas companies are going to get rich about it. I'd like to point out that greed is not the same as fiscal responsibility. Lower taxes, lower utility bills, job creation, business growth, clean, affordable energy, and domestic power generation are all benefits we can achieve through natural gas development and an exercise of fiscal responsibility. As legislators, you have a responsibility to pursue these goals. We all have a national responsibility to reduce our dependency on foreign oil, and we have an environmental responsibility to reduce our greenhouse gas emissions. It is our hope that this legislative body embraces these opportunities. In Pennsylvania, again, we are seeing in Bradford County, they are now putting in natural gas power plants to replace the coal power plants. Better for the environment, but the thinking on this is that, hey, we have this cheap, affordable energy. The winner, by the way, in this race, this economic race we're all in, the winner is the one that can have cheap, clean energy. And in Bradford County, they know it. And they're parlaying the opportunity they have into other opportunities. Get cheap energy through natural gas power plants. Let's bring other businesses in, completely outside of the natural gas industry, bring other businesses in so that our area will continue to thrive even beyond the expiration of some of these wells. Earlier, someone was asking about a company and what the effects might be on a company for natural gas and how that might be affected. Sydney, New York is a great example. Amphenol is a company that was there and had experienced our 2 devastating floods. They were completely leaving the area. And I think they had something like 1,500 employees in the Sydney area. They were only there because of the great work of our